January 11th, 2016, it's Monday. David Bowie died today. Part of my youth, gone forever. Anyway, Random Media Generator has given us a VHS tape today. Not a lot of these, but I do have some of these in the collection. And they can be pretty obscure. And by now, I am sure that you are aware that we're going to watch The Frontiersman. Hop along, Cassidy. Actually, to read the little box set here, Jane Russell showing a little cleavage in the Outlaw there. The Frontiersman, Hopalong Cassidy, William Boyd, and George Gabby Hayes deal with unruly school children, a gang of rustlers, and a pretty school teacher. The reason this is in the collection here is because it's from the collection Hollywood Greats in Early Westerns. And early westerns are a long-lost genre of moviedom. Westerns such as Hopalong Cassidy, Roy Rogers, a score of others are out there usually singing cowboys. Is that, this was the American dream. This was the American West. But before there was Star Wars and war movies and CGI and everything else, the idea is that the West, someplace west of the Mississippi River, was this land of infinite opportunity and infinite possibility, good and bad. And you had these characters who would populate this nether reaches of the country, who would do great things on horses with guns and vast expanses and mountain ranges and bad cattle rustlers. So, this was the escapism of the 1940s and the 1930s and up to the 1960s almost, when little kids wanted to put on a six-shooter and go ride a horse somewhere. It was the equivalent of riding a motocross bike back in the day. So I'm not expecting a lot of great cinema here, but I am expecting a little bit of a glimpse back into, I believe, 1930. Black and white, the Western, Hopalong Cassidy, Giddy Up Little Doggy. Okay. About what I expected so far. What's entertaining more than anything else from the overall scope of media through the 20th century is this is basically propaganda. It's a dressed up kind of way of showing the American way of life and the American morals, and right is right and wrong is wrong, and strong men are right and can put down the squirrely, weaselly bad guys. That being said, it's almost a little bit too moralistic. It touches on a whole bunch of things like freedom and schooling children and proper ways to treat ladies. And, there's no question or doubt about who the good and the bad people are. And that said, it's like, I've never been a big fan of Hopalong Cassidy. I've never really watched him. I've seen him once or twice. Played by William Boyd. And I watch it and it's like, he just doesn't seem right. I guess he was right for the time. But he dresses all in black, with a great big 10-gallon hat, has pro-handled six-shooters, and rides a white horse. And he kind of looks like a banker, dressed up, all duded up in his outfit, with his little sidekick who slurs his speech so much. It's like, when I think cowboy, I think pretty rough, pretty ready, pretty smelly. Not like you just stepped out of Scottsdale Road in Phoenix, Arizona. Several themes that keep popping up in here, which goes to the whole propaganda indoctrination of young children who this movie is targeted toward. One of them is eavesdropping. A lot of people have conversations, and someone will be outside the window and they'll listen in, and that drives the plot because somebody else knows what somebody else is going to do or what they're thinking. The other thing that you see a lot of here is they've used the phrase twice. I want him to use his brains, not his guns. And it's the whole idea that education is the whole big thing behind the scenes here about education and teaching young children the right thing to do and not having them grow up to be stupid outlaws who have guns. The third thing I've noticed is that while they make a point not to go into corporal punishment, as in you can't whip a boy, they freely spank them. I mean, they will literally bend them over their knee and spank them 2 or 3 times in this movie to discipline a child. So that kind of corporal punishment is considered okay, but it's not good to take a blackjack or a whip and just whip a child. That's like, no, that's bad. Thank goodness. Interesting little segment here where the school children are all graduating from the school marm's little one-room schoolhouse, and they're reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag in front of the schoolhouse. And to go way back in the machine, I remember this, but I think most people now won't. The original Pledge of Allegiance, at least back in 1936, I think, when this was done, did not have one nation under God. It had one nation indivisible. So that was added in around the 50s or 60s by all those blue-nosed evangelicals who wanted to make this more of a Christian nation. But in the movie here, the children first take their hats off and start reciting it, but then after the first verse, they go like this toward the flag. It's like a Nazi salute. So they're like paying homage to the flag or something like this. Just like, okay, can we all be good little Boy Scouts? And a little bit, Republicans would love this movie. So we're into the obligatory end of the Western chase scene where you have a bunch of men on horseback and they're thundering across the tundra, the forest, the whatever, guns drawn, bang, bang, bang. Great American iconic imagery here. One thing that's nice I've noticed here, though, but even though this is a VHS tape and the quality of the image is actually not very good at all, since I do have it on the surround sound system, I think most people would not hear this unless they heard it maybe originally in the theater, is that when the horses are going by, they actually rumble. There's actually almost a shaking, because I've got a real low-end woofer here. So it's like, you get this sense that like there's like a freight train almost going across the screen as these guys ride by with their guns brandished. Obviously not using their brains, they're using their guns in this portion of the film. So, in typical Hollywood fashion, the bad guy shoots the gun out of Hopalong Cassidy's hand. Hopalong Cassidy chases him because he's out of bullets. Long pony ride, fist fight in the middle of a riverbed. Mano a mano, great American way. But one thing that really is disturbing now, because we're so politically correct, is that there was no ASPCA on this. In the very final scene, the bad guy rides his horse over a cliff. And I'm pretty sure that horse died. God, it was pretty gruesome.